Hi there! Welcome to Pallet University and just sort of a kind of random video on the channel. So as you might have noticed from the last video on the channel, I'm not in my normal setting. I'm at my parents' house, staying in the room that I pretty much grew up in. And as such, I've been sort of digging around, looking for things that I might want to bring back with me to my apartment in South Dakota when I go back there, or just things to sort of get rid of as I'm starting to become an adult, because I still have way too much just miscellaneous junk that I don't need from when I was a kid. And some of those things I thought were kind of interesting and I wanted to share with you because they're Pokemon related. Also, you probably won't even notice it, but it's going to bother me because I see it. This lamp over here that I have for my lighting, we have an air conditioner on in the other room, and when it kicks on, this light kind of goes weird, so if you see weird lighting things happen, that's why. Little fourth wall-y random stuff in there, but it wouldn't be my kind of video if there weren't some kind of tangent. Anyway, so these sort of childhood Pokemon things are broken up into mostly three categories, which are sort of small trinkets that I sort of acquired over the years that are Pokemon related. Game packaging, not the games themselves, but the packaging, because I'll talk more about that and explain that when I get to that section. And then game guides, because I was quite the avid collector of them back in the day. So let's start with some of the small trinkets that I've found. So I'm going to try to do these in sort of an age order, starting with the oldest stuff. And I found these two stickers. So I kept a little box of just stuff that I thought was neat over the years. And two things that have survived probably since the Red and Blue came out in the West in 1998, which are these little stickers. So the first one that I'll show you is this Gyarados, and it actually has their number on the sticker as well. So it's an original Gyarados sticker, and the only thing that I colored in was the mouth for some reason. I think there's a little bit of blue crayon on there, but not a ton. But the one that I like a lot better is this Charizard. And I didn't color in the wings the right color, but I knew enough to not color in the belly. But neither of them are sticky anymore, obviously, because they're over 20 years old. But I just thought those were neat, original print of Pokemon stickers. I just thought that was really cool, and the fact that I kept them for all of this time was just kind of weird to me, but I'm glad that I did. Next, I have a couple things from 1999, and one of them is one of these golden Pokemon cards from Burger King, and I don't have the ball that it came in, and I really wish I did, because those look just super nice and would look great on the background of a set. But it's basically just this little metal card. If you're older, you've probably seen these. You probably had some when you were a kid, but I kept this just in the same little box that I kept the stickers in, and it's got Jigglypuff's Pokedex entry from Red and Blue, as well as its height and weight, and the fact that it evolves into Wigglytuff with a Moonstone, which I thought was really cool. Yeah, I think you could... I don't think they're actually worth anything. Not that I would sell this, but I just think it's really neat how much random Burger King kids meal stuff is worth nowadays. But yeah, this was from 1999, so I must have been given this by somebody, because in 1999 I was 3 years old. So I really don't think that I was getting kids meals at Burger King at 3 years old. I might have been, but I don't know. So I must have acquired this at some point along the lines, and I honestly could not tell you where. Next up is also something from 1999, and that is this little Clefairy top. It is not your usual top that you just sort of spin. I will put in some B-roll of how it actually works, because it works really weirdly. It's got sort of an internal thing that spins, and the Clefairy can spin separate from the bottom, which is really neat. This is also from a Burger King kids meal in 1999. That was peak Pokemon, was 1998 through probably 2001 to 2002. But yeah, I have no idea where I got this thing. I do distinctly remember having others, though. I know that I had a Venonat one and a Diglett one as well, of the same thing. So I must have gotten these from Burger King, so maybe I did get the Jigglypuff thing from Burger King myself. I really couldn't tell you. I just remember having this forever, and in fact, in 3rd grade, my teacher wanted to do like a time capsule thing where we would all put in one thing, and like a week before we graduated high school, because my high school was pre-K through 12, but a week before we graduated high school, our teacher would give us back our thing, and this is what I put in. So this was sitting in a box for at least 9 years in my 3rd grade teacher's classroom somewhere. But I'm really glad that this one is still around, because I don't have the other two. I have no idea where they went. Things just kind of disappear as you grow up. But I'm really glad that I still have this one. Next is something from 2001, I believe, and I actually had to Google this because I didn't know what it was or what it was from. So it's this little Lugia coin, and it's actually from the TCG. This is, if you've ever played TCG, usually you need a coin, because it'll say, like, flip a coin, if heads, this attack does whatever, if tails, this attack does nothing, or something like that. So this is a kind of coin that you would get in a TCG set, and I Googled it. It's from 2001. And it's just got the Lugia on one side, and on the other side it just says Pokemon with copyright Nintendo /CR, which I believe stands for Creatures Inc., but I don't know that for sure, /Game Freak. So, once again, not really sure how I ever got this, because I had a bunch of cards, but I was never really into TCG. Like, I never knew how to actually play until I was like 20, by which point I was too broke to actually afford cards. But just another thing that I've had in that same box as the stickers and the Jigglypuff thing for almost 20 years now with this thing at this point. And lastly, for the little trinkets, this one's a little weird because I don't know where I got it, and it's not even close to a whole thing. It's just this little tiny Kyogre flipper. That's all it is. Based on the size, it looks like it should be from like a keychain or something. And it's Kyogre, so I'm guessing that it's from around the release of Ruby and Sapphire, which was 2003, I believe, in the West. And couldn't tell you where I got it, couldn't tell you what happened to the rest of it. I've just had it in a box, the same box as all the rest of that stuff. And I just haven't gotten rid of it, because I think it's kind of neat. So that's it for like the little trinkets. So now we're moving on to the game packaging over the years. So a little sort of preface to this is that, I had to buy a lot of my own video games growing up. My parents would buy me some like around my birthday or whatever, but Pokemon games typically came out in November, and my birthday's in April. I don't know why I had to pause and think about that, but my birthday's in April, and so I didn't usually get a Pokemon game for my birthday. I usually got money. So I had to sort of ration my money and make sure that I had enough when the Pokemon games came out in November. And I bought almost every Pokemon game. At some point I had, at least in like the DS era especially, but I think I had Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum. I don't think I ever had Blue Rescue Team because I had Red Rescue Team. I had Pokemon Conquest, Black, White, Black 2, White 2, Conquest, and I have all of the packaging from them still, but because I was a broke, preteen / teenager, I traded a lot of the games in. So I don't have the games, I just have the packaging. Which was really unfortunate until only like the last couple of days. So I always keep an eye on Facebook Marketplace, which is one of the few things that I have decided to use Facebook for from now on. But I've been keeping an eye on Facebook Marketplace because I've been trying to get like a collection of some classic Pokemon games like Pokemon Stadium for the Nintendo 64, or I'm really looking for Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness copy. I haven't been able to find one without having to spend like $100 on it, which I don't want to do. I probably will eventually, but I don't want to do it now. All this to say, rambling a lot, one game that I've been looking for a long time was Soul Silver. And I bought Soul Silver with my own money back when it came out, and because I had a physical copy, and still have a physical copy of Pokemon Gold, so I wanted Pokemon Soul Silver when they remade them. And Soul Silver was one of the games that I unfortunately traded back to GameStop to pay for whatever newer Pokemon game was coming out. And just a couple of days ago, I'm filming this on a Friday, on Tuesday, I saw a Pokemon Soul Silver copy come up on Facebook Marketplace. And from what I can tell, it's authentic. It's got the little infrared reader thing at the top, which tells me that it's pretty genuine. Plus, the person that I bought it from mentioned that they have had it for years. It was their kids, and they're just cleaning out their kids' stuff because their kid went off to college. And it was much cheaper than you would find at like GameStop. I think this game goes for like $60 at GameStop. I think I got this for $10, and I offered more, but she was like, I don't, it's just gathering dust in my house. Like, if you're going to play it, go for it. So I'm like, okay, I'll take it for $10. So now I have Pokemon Soul Silver with the complete packaging. I still have all the paperwork, and I still have the Pokewalker, but that is back in South Dakota, or else I would have tested it to make sure that it was real, because counterfeit copies of Soul Silver and Heart Gold do not work with the Pokewalker. So if you're ever curious, that is a way to test them. Anyway, this really made my day that I now have like the complete set of Soul Silver. And then a similar thing happened with Diamond. So I still have the Diamond packaging. Unfortunately, at some point I got rid of all of the paperwork and stuff on the inside. But a friend of mine, probably about 2 years ago, because we were friends in undergrad and I haven't really seen them since, because, college happens. But they gave me a copy of Diamond. As well as one of their old, I think it's a DS Lite, because it still has the Game Boy Advance port on it. They gave me a copy of Diamond and that, because they were like, again, if you're going to play it, I'm never going to play it. So now I have Diamond and the packaging, which makes me very happy. And here are some games that I have the packaging for, but not the actual game. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, Explorers of Sky. Arguably the best Pokemon Mystery Dungeon game. I personally like the pixel art sort of style much better than the 3D style. I like Pokemon Mystery Dungeon DX, but there's just something really classic to me about the pixel art style. And this one just really enhanced on Explorers of Time and Darkness. So I really, really enjoyed this game, but like some of the others to follow, I just don't have the game anymore, and that makes me sad. Next is Pokemon Black. I've been looking for another copy of Pokemon Black, and you can find them at GameStop. They're actually pretty common to buy reused, like refurbished or pre-owned. That's the word. But I just haven't yet. So that's one that I'm sort of in the market for. Yeah, Pokemon Black. Oh, I do have a copy of White 2 somewhere, but that one I don't have the case for. So that's kind of weird how that works. Next I have Pokemon Conquest. Arguably, probably other than Mystery Dungeon, probably my favorite side series games. I really enjoyed Pokemon Ranger as well, but there was just something about Pokemon Conquest that I really, really loved. So I played the absolute crap out of this game. I beat it probably 10 times over. I really enjoyed it, and I really wish that I hadn't traded it in, but that's kind of a theme here. Next is a 3DS game, which is Pokemon Super Mystery Dungeon, which overall was one of the better Mystery Dungeon games. It was probably the second worst, which is leaps and bounds ahead of the actual worst, which was Mystery Dungeon Gates to Infinity. Terrible game. Don't ever play it. Don't ever play money to pay it. But yeah, don't have the game. Just the case. Whoops. All right, and moving on to the last section, which is game guides. Before, sort of, probably like around when Black 2, White 2 came out, I didn't really have good internet at my house. If I wanted to use the internet, I had to use my mom's it's kind of late at night, smartphone. I'd use my mom's smartphone as a hotspot to use my DS. And even then, I think we might have still had dial-up internet at the time. Dating myself a little bit here. But so, needless to say, the internet was not super readily accessible for me. So I needed to buy game guides, like the physical game guides that came out around the same time as the games. So I did that, especially around the Gen 4 era is when all of these ones are from that I'm going to show you. But some of them are pretty beat up, as you'll see. So the first ones I'm going to show you are from Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. And the first one is the first Mystery Dungeon games, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Red and Blue Rescue Team. As you can see, it's pretty beat up. We got a new dog, and we still have that dog. The dog's like 14 years old now, I think, because I think this came out in 2006. At least the guide, anyway. But as you can see down here, like this little tear down in the corner, that's from my dog. But it's just an old book. It's got lots of information. It's got learn sets of every Pokemon, where you can recruit it, how hard it is to recruit, details about every dungeon. For instance, like here is Howling Forest, where you find Smeargle, as well as Magma Cavern, which is where you find Groudon, and it shows you how many floors it is, what Pokemon you can find on which floors, what items to bring to the dungeon, what items you can find in the dungeon. It's just chock right full of really useful information for Mystery Dungeon, including, let's see, there's a guide in here about which questions to answer, basically what answers to give in like the pre-game quiz to get what Pokemon you want as your starter. And also, so let's see, I'll read, since Cubone is very, very good in the modern Mystery Dungeon, the remakes of these games, I'll read Cubone's page. So it says, what to expect from Cubone. It takes a while for Cubone to learn any good attacks. The first comes at level 9. But when it does, look out. Cubone gets incredibly powerful moves from cringe-inducing Bone Club and Headbutt to Bone Meringue at level 25. A long-range, high-power move that hits twice. It recommends some Link moves, and it also recommends partners, which it recommends Cyndaquil. Hey, that's what my team was. And Totodile, which is interesting. So lots of information in this book. And then the second book is also for Mystery Dungeon. This one is the Guide to Mystery Dungeon Explorers of Time and Darkness. And as you can see, my dog also got a hold of this one. Very, very similar thing, except because it's, a more complicated game, it has a lot more details in it. The post-game of Time, Darkness, and Sky was a lot more fleshed out than in Red and Blue Rescue Team, so there's an entire post-game guide as well. Fantastic, fantastic guides. I would not have been able to enjoy these games nearly as thoroughly without these guides. So I'm really glad that I've hung on to these after all these years. Next, we have Part 1 and Part 2 of the guides to Pokemon Diamond and Pearl. So Part 1 was strictly about the game. So this is what Pokemon you find on which routes. I believe it tells you what Pokemon trainers have, if I'm not mistaken. Probably for only for important trainers, I believe. That's what it looks like, because for routes themselves, there isn't a ton of information. There's like what Pokemon you can find there. And yeah, so they don't actually tell you what Pokemon trainers have, with the exception of important trainers like Team Galactic admins or gym leaders. But lots of really cool information in this one as well. So this was about the actual meat of the story. However, they also had Part 2, which was just the Pokedex, which was a pretty hefty book in and of itself. So this one has where you find every Pokemon, how you evolve every Pokemon's moveset, TM learn set, how they evolve, everything you could want in a Pokedex. And something that I found very charming in these, this book and the next one I'm going to show you, is that for all the Gen 2 Pokemon, Heart Gold, Soul Silver hadn't been made yet when these came out. So all the Ken Sugimori art was from the original Gold and Silver release. So I'll show you right here. I'll show you Delibirds. Hopefully you can see that somewhat well. How it's still sort of that old-timey, very 2000s looking, or 2000 looking art style. And that was just something that I found very, very charming throughout this book, and also, like I said, the next one that I'm going to show you. It also just goes to show, like, how much things change throughout the history of Pokemon. Because I believe Heart Gold and Soul Silver would come out, I think, 3 years after this, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that's Diamond and Pearl. And last but not least is the biggest of them all, which is Pokemon Platinum. I don't know if the Pokedex part of the Diamond and Pearl set just didn't sell very well, or because it was the third game, they decided to put all of them together, but this is the Pokedex and the actual game guide. And I really don't know why I bought it, because it is the exact same information as the Diamond and Pearl one, obviously just updated for Platinum. But I think the Pokedex is laid out much, much better in this one, because it separates it into the Sinnoh Dex, and then also a separate National Dex. It also includes lots of stuff about the Battle Frontier, Or is that what it was even called in Platinum? I want to say yes, but I don't know that for sure. Yes, Battle Frontier. There it is. But I also just liked that it was really sparkly. And it was only $20. Could you imagine buying a book this thick nowadays for $20? Wild. And that is all of my sort of childhood Pokemon things that I was able to find. I know for a fact that I have the first 2 Pokemon movies on VHS somewhere. Where they could be, I have no idea. They could be in my closet, which is a giant mess and has been for like 6 years. It could be where we keep all of our VHS tapes, which is also a giant mess. See, if you're on the younger side and you don't know what VHS tapes, look it up. It's what we had before DVDs. So, again, dating myself. But anyway, I've kept you here for long enough. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know down below what kinds of Pokemon things you had as a kid. And if you still have them, also let me know. I always love talking about people's like childhood Pokemon things, or if you got into Pokemon as an adult, what kind of Pokemon things do you have now? As you probably know, if you have watched this channel for a length of time, this isn't your first video on the channel, I have lots of plushies that I usually have in the background, but are in my apartment in South Dakota. But I've been looking for ways to decorate the set here, because I'm going to be here for at least another month. So we'll see if I can sort of incorporate some of this stuff into it, but we'll see how that goes. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at Pallet_U to keep up on all things Pokemon science. And as always, there's a time and place for everything.